CO everyone, Cherokee Charles here. This is Cheeky Mo. Now today, we're beginning the Memorial Day weekend. I just want to make a quick video, bring some information to you that is extremely important. And I want you to keep this in mind as you go through the day, the weekend, and the coming summer. Now, yesterday we talked about three things. We talked about feeding your family, food costs. We talked about security for your family. We also talked about housing costs. But today, I want to focus on one particular thing, and that is food. Food is a basic necessity. Can't do without it. Now, as I'm sure everyone within the sound of my voice knows, food prices have been going up, and they've been going up dramatically. And also, fuel costs. The price of gas is almost 60% more this year than it was last year. And by that, if you look at your gas station prices, there are many people paying close to $5, if not $6 a gallon. And it's gonna go higher. Believe me, it's gonna go higher. So today we're gonna talk about food costs and the price of growing and getting food for our country, for our families. Now, back in the day, in this country, we did a lot of farming. The Midwest was considered the farming belt. And farmers there grew lots and lots of food. And there are still some left, but nowhere near the magnitude that we once had. Today, because the United States is considered one of the richest countries in the world, we do less and less farming and more purchasing of those goods. Now, where do we get those goods from? Well, the new farming belt or breadbasket now is, guess what? It's over in the Ukraine. The Ukraine is now the new breadbasket of the world. And those farmers supply food for many of the countries around the world. However, and please pay attention to this, right now, in that part of the world, farmers are not farming, they're fighting. They're not doing what they normally like to do, and that's farm. They're so busy fighting in their country to protect themselves, their country, their family, that they're not farming. So that is having a rippling effect around the world. And there are actually countries right now that are having food shortages. And they could possibly have famines in those countries because farmers are not farming. Farmers are fighting. We need to have farmers farming and not fighting. Now, in that part of the world, the little bit of farming that is being done, the food is being kept in their country because they need to feed their people first. They're not gonna export food out to the rest of the world and not feed their own people. So what little food they are growing, they're keeping to feed their own people, which makes a lot of sense. So I just want you to keep that in mind as you go through this weekend and you're preparing barbecues and you're cooking out and all that kind of stuff. There is a place in the world where people are starting to feel the pinch of not having a basic necessity like food. And because, if you don't know this, you should know this, all countries are linked. So what happens in one country eventually affects other countries. So I don't want people to get the idea that, well, it's happening over there, it's not gonna happen here. That's not true. What happens in one country affects what happens in another country. So if farmers are not farming in one part of the world, it is definitely going to affect other parts of the world. Just like the price of oil, if it goes up in one part of the world, it's going to affect everything. And that's part of the reason, and a big major part of the reason, why food prices are so expensive. Food prices are so expensive right now because of oil prices, because of gas prices. It costs a lot more to transport not just food, but everything. It costs a lot more to transport food than ever before. And because it does cost so much more to transport food, the price of food is going up. And it will continue to go up unless something is done. Now that's something our government has chosen to fight inflation. They feel that inflation is the big thing that's causing a problem in this country, so that's what our government is fighting. That's what the Fed is fighting. We've raised interest rates to slow down our economy to fight inflation. Well, in China, their government is doing just the opposite. They're not fighting inflation. They're not raising interest rates to fight inflation. They're dealing with their economy. Their economy is slowing down. So in that country, they're lowering interest rates. Now, what do you think is going to happen when you have one part of the world fighting one thing like inflation and another part of the world fighting something else, their economy? We're not on the same page. We're on the same planet, but we're not on the same page. So I just want you to keep that in mind, that we need to get together here. If one part of the world is fighting inflation, we all need to focus on the same thing. If one part of the world is having food shortage problems, we all need to get on board and help and do the same thing. We can't have one part of the world doing one thing and another part of the world doing something else. So please keep this in mind as you go through this holiday weekend, that we are all linked. We are all in the same bread basket, if you will. Cherokee Charles signing out. Don't forget to like and subscribe these videos. I'll bring them to you almost each and every day, and hopefully it'll be information that you can learn from, because this stuff you're not going to be taught in school. You're only going to get that here.